It's the first word.
A report today from Chris Broussard that the Lakers have examined your Nuggets, Woody Page, and it appears they found something they like. One Carmelo Anthony. Here it is. Melo Rumor Part 42, Electric Boogaloo. Artest and Odom for Anthony. Not really working for Denver. But Bynum for Melo. That might be the start of something. Can you see Melo to the Lakers? Can you see Melo for Bynum happening, Adonde?
I actually cannot. Even though it makes sense for the Lakers, they could go short term, and even if it's a rental, I think it would make sense for the Lakers. But for the Denver Nuggets, Andrew Bynum, they already have a good center in Nene. You've got contract issues with Bynum. You still have to have at least another year before you can have the team option on his contract. And also, you don't get the draft picks. And I think that's one of the things they're looking for. They're looking for a lot of things out of this. Young players, draft picks, and then that proposed three-way trade with the Timberwolves and the Knicks, they'd get Minnesota's first-round draft pick a lot better than
so you think that trade's more attractive than Melo to the Lakers? How about you, Paige? Can you see this happening?
Well, I've already done some investigation today, and two sources with the Denver Nuggets inside the organization that said, don't believe what you hear, don't believe what you read. It's not going to happen, and I don't believe it'll happen because the Nuggets want draft choices. They want salaries that will be ending at the end of the year. They want no part of our test. They don't want to deal with another player, Bynum, that's coming up for contract soon, a guy who's been often injured. As J.A. said, they already have a center in Nene. They would need somebody to replace Carmelo. It's not going to happen. What they're doing is they're using this as leverage against the New York Knicks and even the New Jersey Nets to get the Nets back in, or the Knicks to make a bigger move. But they want draft choices. They don't want Bynum.
I don't think this even makes a ton of sense from the Lakers standpoint, because if you think it does, it means you're looking at it in kind of an all-star way, kind of an answer to the Heat, like the Lakers need offense. And even if it looks like they do in some of these games now, I think when they're healthy and you get into the spring, they're still better off with that feared line. If they've got all those inside players, if they've got Bynum and Gasol and Odom, that's size that nobody can really handle. And I don't think Kobe really needs the kind of support Carmelo would give him in the playoffs.
Well, certainly what the Lakers are being offered from Denver, if this is in fact true, is a whole lot better than anything James Dolan is coming up with in New York. Good grief. You get to have Carmelo Anthony to play beside Paul Gasol and Kobe Bryant. That is an awesome, awesome lineup. And as much as we all like Andrew Bynum, there's always the issue of him remaining healthy or just getting healthy enough to make a big impact. I mean, he never seems to be, and it seems to be potential that you keep dreaming about and hoping it's going to happen, and you're still hoping it's going to happen. But you look at Carmelo and you add him to that team, come on, that just changes the total dynamic.
The interesting thing is whether or not Carmelo would change his mind and sign the extension for somewhere other than New York. I would think living in Los Angeles, all the entertainment possibilities it offers, in addition to the chance to go after championships. I talked to him at the beginning of the season. He said that the main thing behind all this was he wanted a chance to win a championship. Now, I actually think Denver is ahead of New York when it comes to that, but L.A. certainly vaults ahead of the Knicks when it comes to pursuing championships.
It's not going to happen. La and Carmelo are not going to La La Land. And in New York, you got James Dolan saying he's calling Stan Kroenke. Kroenke no longer owns the team. He doesn't even know who to call and talk to.
As I said with the Heat last summer, bad for the league to put all the superstars on one or two teams. Makes too many
You honestly don't think the Lakers would be better with Kobe, Melo, and Gasol than they are right now?
Of course they would.
Not drastically better, and they would be different, but you're taking shots away from Kobe as well.
Let's move on. Talk about the Cavaliers. First, it was Comic Sans. Then, it was comical. Now it's just plain sad. 25 straight, the NBA record. Anton Jameson, quote, "It's like Groundhog Day every day." Yep, that 25th step is a doozy when you can't get off a last shot. What does 25 straight losses mean, KB?
Well, it just means that they're just a new joke in the record books. I mean, you're talking to someone who went to Northwestern University at a time when they won 2 football games in 4 years. I feel their pain. I remember the Orioles getting off to a horrific start a number of years ago. They're just becoming a joke. There's nothing you can do except get up in the morning, try again, and hopefully you can break through. But, you know, you just got to kind of smile and grin and bear it. I don't know. You talk about a team that needs help from someplace else, another team, to give them a player to get them over the hump. This is the team.
Kalisha.
6 players.
I think it means two things in particular. One, not only is LeBron obviously the greatest player of all time, Anderson Varejao, is right behind him. Something has to be missing from that team last year, besides LeBron, to go from where they were to where they are now. The other thing it does is I would bet most NBA fans, close followers of the league, did not know much about the record or who held it before now. Now they're going to know. Everybody's going to know. The year after LeBron, that's when it happened.
Paige.
I think it means a lot to Antoine Jameson. He said every day for the Cavaliers is like Groundhog Day. They wake up and the same results. But I think it's embarrassing to the city of Cleveland, and we can see what the loss of LeBron, and they lost 2 other major players. I think it just shows you that when LeBron leaves there, what kind of influence he had on that team. But in terms of this streak, it's meaningless as far as I'm concerned. I remember the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, when they went through an entire season and into the next, that was a lot more meaningful. And going back with the Louisville Colonels in 1889, a team I covered, when they lost 26 in a row, when they lost 26 in a row, that meant a lot in baseball.
Adonde.
I'm sorry, Woody. Every additional loss in the streak is like an additional layer on the monument that is being built to LeBron James, showing how valuable he was. And yes, I know Anderson Varejao and Mo Williams have been injured, but you really think if LeBron had still been on this team and they lost those 2 guys, they would have lost 25 consecutive games straight in a row? No, it wouldn't happen. But I do think there's light at the end of the tunnel here. You see them getting closer. You see them coming within a shot of victory. They have an 8-game homestand coming up. They've got teams like the winless on the road, Washington Wizards coming in. So I do think there's a possibility this streak ends this month.
But you're saying a light at the end of the tunnel would be 1 win. How long until they get a few wins and put together something?
Don't get ahead of yourself. They need to win 1 game. They haven't won this whole year yet.
It's probably going to be a while, but let's not forget, this team got off to a surprisingly decent start, 7-9. They've beaten 3 teams with over 500, with plus 500 records, so they can get it together. This is
but
just
Kevin, then LeBron came in and cut their hearts out in that big anticipated showdown in December.
How much of this is on LeBron James? Kalishaw?
60 to 70%. You got to put some of it on these other guys that are missing. But the surprising thing is the East is really bad. There's 8 other teams under 500, and they can't get a win against any of those teams.
Yeah, I think you've got to put it 100% on LeBron James. KB talking about they can put a few wins together. Oh, yeah, they can go from being the worst team in the world to just one of the worst teams in history. But I will say this, they've had more road games than any other team except one. And now they've got some home games coming up. I think that'll make a difference.
And, of course, you're looking at the schedule. You know how many.
Sure, they've got the good home schedule.